Hi everyone, Lazy Fire here. Welcome to the Hate the Player podcast. This is episode 34, 35, something in there, you know? I don't know how, we still haven't figured out where the Counter-Strike episode lies in our canon, as it turns out. Tonight we have a reduced cast. It's just me and Three Toes.
It's a much more intimate podcast tonight.
And it's really the two important people, because you do the music and I do the editing. So I don't think we mentioned the fact that you've done the intro and outro, as it turns out, music for this. I just cut the file you sent me and then put it at the end of this thing. But it's still there, damn it.
Don't chop up my art and censor me.
First Amendment rights. Yeah.
I may try and do an update to that. I may try and come out with another 90s G-Funk groove.
No, you gotta get some fake horns in there too, like he sample it from Dr. Dre sample from NWA era, where it's just like straight up horns and like people saying things and screams that are chopped up. I was listening to NWA today, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, they used a lot of old, some kind of Motown samples, just a lot of old funk. Dre always at least when he went solo, always using a lot of George Clinton riffs in a lot of his songs. Like, you'd be surprised, there are a lot of songs off the Chronic that have George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic samples.
Yeah, the samples in the early stuff especially are just crazy when you look at where they're pulling these sources from. It's like there's no way you'd actually know about those things unless you spend a lot of time in a studio trying to find a beat or a track or something like that, where you can get the specific sound you want to get.
Right.
Yeah,
and then there's songs like Express Yourself, where they literally just add new lyrics to old songs.
That is the weakest song NWA produced too.
What?
The MC Ren solo song on Straight Outta Compton was really bad too.
I mean, considering what you want to call weak, I really enjoy Express Yourself.
I don't know, I feel like that's just okay. Dr. Dre is in this thing too. We should let him have some time. It's next we're gonna let Yella get behind a mic. Oh yeah, that'd be a good plan. Good idea.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but coming from a musician, that's a great song that they sampled with a great beat and a great bass line, and it suited their rhyming style really, really well. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, Dre's delivery, at least in the early days of NWA, was actually kind of weak.
Yeah.
I think that kills it for me. I was actually wondering who the hell MC Ren or what he's doing these days is. MC Ren's solo career from 1992. He started his own record label, Villain Entertainment, on October 31st, 2009. And he released a new single this year called Rebel Music.
Huh.
And apparently Ice Cube helped him with it.
Well, good for him.
Which is weird, because Ice Cube definitely threatened to, shoot Ren with an AK in a song, so might be a bad idea.
Yeah, but that's also, one of my favorite image macros is one of, young Ice Cube and older Ice Cube.
Yeah.
When the first one he's holding the AK, and the second is him from, Are We There Yet? in a canoe with a life jacket on.
Yeah. This is first I was and then I was, yeah. Oh, man. Have you seen 22 Jump Street yet?
I haven't. I saw the first one only about a year ago.
Oh, man, that's great. Ice Cube gets a lot more time in it, and he
really?
That's good. Commits to it. He is on it in that movie. It's great. So, yeah, go see that. If it's still in theaters. I actually saw Guardians of the Galaxy last night.
So what'd you think?
I thought it was actually really good.
I want to see it, and I heard it's really, really fun, and I'm glad to hear that. But the comic book nerd in me feels that there are a lot of B and C list Marvel movies coming out in the near future, and in my mind, that one's leading the way. Of all the comics to pick to do movies about, they've got Guardians of the Galaxy, which the fact that it ties into the Infinity Gauntlet, I'll allow it. Anything that gets us closer to an Infinity Wars movie, I'm all for.
You're talking about the Infinity Gauntlet Thanos is supposed to have in the comics, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. To where the Tesseract and
The thing from the Thor movie.
right, and Loki's little gem from the Avengers that was supposed to be
Yeah.
the mind gem for the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm fine with that. The fact that they tie that in. But then you've got movies like Doctor Strange coming out, Iron Fist, possibly Luke Cage. Like, who gives a shit?
The Iron Fist thing turned into a Netflix TV series.
Really?
Yeah, they're not going to do the movie.
Good.
But
Like,
yeah,
I cannot think of anyone that is chomping at the bit for an Iron Fist movie.
maybe if they did it all like early Jackie Chan style, it would work out great. But no, like I understand where you're coming from, because when I look at the Marvel stuff, I saw Captain America earlier this year when it came out. I thought that was actually really good because
I still haven't seen it. I really want to see Winter Soldier.
it dropped a lot of the superhero bullshit for most of the movie, and it's just seriously like 3 Days of the Condor or something like that for a little while with superhero flair. So it's pretty neat. I thought they did a really good job with that. But, I started worrying about the Marvel stuff because it's like, man, they're throwing 2 movies out a year, every year, and just like, okay, sequel after sequel. Are they going to do anything interesting or new or different with this stuff? And like Iron Man 3 was okay. It wasn't like mind-blowing or anything like that.
I still liked it better than the second one.
Yeah, the second
It wasn't
one
as good as the
was
first
weak.
one, but it was better than the second one.
The second one was really weak. I'll admit that. But the first one was like, that was the flagship movie for that entire like idea of doing that thing.
Right.
And it worked well in the first movie. The first movie was great in a lot of ways. It was long. I think it was like 3 hours long, right? But it had a good cast. Tony Stark was cast well, and with Robert Downey
Right.
Jr. And it was really nice to have Jeff Bridges there. Yeah, Jeff Bridges. I don't know why I was going to say someone else, but have him there doing like, he's very clearly still the dude and was throwing shit around like that. Just enjoying it. Like, people chewing scenery, but the special effects didn't suck, and at the time that was amazing.
Yeah.
But with Guardians of the Galaxy, holy shit, that movie is like, how Iron Man is like kind of lighthearted in a lot of times, and
Right.
yeah, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy has straight up like joke lines and hilarious moments and all sorts of shit like that just like the characters all play off each other really well. Chris Pratt does a great job actually helming the film, like holding the reins steady on this thing.
Yeah.
That, I mean, at any time, that movie could have gone off the rails stupid bad. Like, it's always on that knife edge because they're trying to get the humor in there as well as the action. But, like, the fight scenes are actually shot clearly. You can see what's happening in most of the fight scenes. And, characters are well fleshed out in a lot of ways. So I was actually enjoying it a lot. It was also one of the, like I said, one of the funniest Marvel movies they've probably released. And like, they're even packing it into the last few minutes of the movie. They're just throwing jokes at you. Like, in the middle of the climactic fight, there's like a moment where everyone in the theater was laughing and clapping at the movie. So it was not in a bad way either. So yeah,
So
go see it if you had a chance.
Did you get to see Days of Future Past?
I never got around to it.
I didn't either. I really wanted to, but considering I haven't really heard much of it since then, my hopes aren't really that high. But yeah, I just pulled up some of the other Marvel movies that are coming up in the near future. They're rebooting the Fantastic Four, which I'm all for that. I thought the first 2 were terrible.
Yeah, that's going to be a Fox or a Sony Studios, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying because we have to... Now, if we're looking at superhero movies in general, or are we talking about the Marvel franchises?
I was just talking about Marvel.
Okay, so that wouldn't even count because Marvel's not releasing Fantastic Four. That's like a Sony or something like that. Marvel Studios movies are a little bit different because there was a deal they made with Sony to like give them, or Sony and Fox both have deals with Marvel. And so Marvel let them have, these franchises and make movies, But the deal is like every 2 to 4 years or something like that, there has to be a new movie in the franchise, or it gets sent back to Marvel, and so or there has to be production on a new movie or something like that.
Gotcha.
So that's why the Spider-Man movies went from like, okay, we just finished up this trilogy to, oh hey, there's another Spider-Man movie with a new trilogy.
Honestly, the reboot was so much better than the Tobey Maguire ones, in my opinion.
I don't know. I like the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire was actually really good.
The first one was really good, but I felt like the Amazing Spider-Man, at least the first one. I haven't seen the second one yet. The first one was really good too. But also, okay, so you got Avengers: Age of Ultron, which, yeah, A-list title. That should be really good. You've got Ant-Man coming out.
Well,
again,
if it ever gets a solid director and cast.
Yeah, but again, who gives a shit? Captain America 3 slated for 2016. X-Men Apocalypse also slated for 2016. And then Doctor Strange and Sinister Six also for 2016. So far you've got 4 potentially for 2016.
Yeah.
And again, these are all really, really loose, but yeah.
They're gonna run out of things to do, but you think the Guardians of the Galaxy that they have is gonna be like, that's the last thing you think, oh yeah, of course we're gonna have Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, what the fuck? In what world? Yeah. Like, that's not a big franchise for anybody, right?
Right.
But it proves that if you give it to the right people and let them go and do their own thing to a degree, that you're going to have a successful movie. Like,
yeah, I get that, but I mean, at the same time, everyone's got their favorite characters, their favorite comic books that they would rather see a movie made instead of that.
Yeah, but Guardians works really well, I think, if they follow that mold with Doctor Strange, or if they're careful with how Sinister Six works out, which is, once again, that's like a Columbia TriStar or Sony Entertainment, whatever it is, thing.
Right.
That is
or maybe that's
sorry.
going to be the third Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, they pushed that back to 2018. And they have the guys who wrote the Transformers movies working on different, like, there's going to be a Venom movie, there's going to be that Sinister Six, and there's going to be the Spider-Man. So
did you see the quote unquote test footage for Deadpool?
I haven't. I think almost everywhere I saw it was like went up during work, and by the time I got to something that could play it without me getting fired, it had all been taken down.
Really? Because I thought it was like the dude got the green light to release it.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure it's up several places on YouTube if you want to find it. Yeah. But anyway, that's a movie I really, really hope gets made. And you can say what you want about Ryan Reynolds, but he'd be perfect for that part.
Yeah. That, like, if they'd given him a little bit more time in the Wolverine movie, I think he probably could have done a lot with it. But they like go, okay, here's Ryan Reynolds, and at the like, he basically had a cameo in that movie.
Well, Origins was awful anyway.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too upset, but yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, as we go on, superhero movies are going to be a bigger part of every year's AAA releases, no matter what. Because it's like, okay, get a really muscled person, get a really generic script, now put a bunch of shit in it about saving the world, and we're cool. Like, it doesn't take a lot to make a superhero movie. The Superman movie they released last year proves it. But God, that movie was fucking generic. You could tell it was going to happen from the start. But
yeah,
Zack Snyder directed it, so. But we'll see. I mean, they have the Batman vs Superman movie that also has Wonder Woman in it, and like DC is like trying to kick off their TV stuff more than it's trying to kick off their movie stuff, because they have Arrow and they're going to have the Flash soon and whatever, but they're casting for Justice League before they even have movie 2 out in the Superman franchise that's going to introduce Batman and Wonder Woman, and they don't know what they're going to do with Green Lantern. So, like,
call up Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's not doing anything. So yeah, I just think that like we're gonna get saturated with superhero movies, and it's gonna become very easy to feel like we're watching the same movie with just a different character at the helm.
Well, I mean, there's so much available already written content for them to pull from. Like, it's, if you think about it from writing, from the aspect of writing an original movie, like, it's really low effort on their part. They can just go to Marvel or DC and be like, hey, let's leaf through your archives for a little bit and see who might be a good movie character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can turn almost anything into a good movie character if they throw enough money at the screen.
Right.
It's just like I'm sorry. When you look at Guardians or something like that, it's just there's a lot of money on screen anytime Groot's on there or Rocket Raccoon's on there. It's just like the CGI for that is really good. And of course Vin Diesel is Groot, who can only say 3 words. That's like you would think that character would wear thin for a while, but there is a moment like midway through the movie where Rocket starts interpreting him like Han Solo does Chewie, and, and it's great. So yeah, go see that. That's actually really good. My wife was way more interested in it than I was because she saw Chris Pratt in a movie, and it's like I want to go see Chris Pratt in a movie. It seems like it'd be different and new. So we went to see it, and we were both pretty happy with it. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about otherwise besides Marvel movies. I don't want to plug them for too long because they didn't pay their sponsorship bill this week.
Dicks.
Yeah, what the hell? No one seems to be sending me any checks for this podcast. It's kind of weird.
Stanley, you asshole.
He gets an early cameo. Like in Captain America, he was in way late, and then this one, he was in there like right at the start. They usually like space that thing out and leave him in the middle or something. Anyways, there's some things I wanted to mention. EA Access, or whatever the fuck it is. So there's a new program for the Xbox One. It's not going to come to the PS4 because Sony said that they think it's stupid. And a little bit more words, and they didn't call it outright dumb. But the basics of it are that you pay EA a set amount per year, and you can like basically play their games for that set amount per year. And if you really like the game, you can outright buy it for whatever, $10 or something like that, less than the normal price. But it's at the mercy of what games EA wants to put on there and how long EA is going to leave those games on. So if you really like FIFA 14 or something like that, and they take it off when FIFA 15 is a week away from release, you're going to be stuck paying $60 a year to play FIFA and Madden and whatever else it is. So I'm not entirely sure how exactly this works.
Yeah, I can't really comprehend that. So you're paying an annual fee just to have access to being able to pay for the game.
Yeah. So here's the member benefits as summed up by EA. EA Access lets you play more games for less. Binge on EA's best Xbox One's games. I've been making fun of the Xbox One for too long. Xbone games, starting with Madden NFL 25, FIFA 14. We're on 25 Madden games. FIFA 14, Battlefield 4, and Peggle 2 during the beta. With more to come in the future, that's more than $100 worth of games for just $4.99 a month. Pay as much as you want, you'll never run out of fun. You also pay for less. As an additional perk, EA Access members get an exclusive 10% discount on EA digital purchases for the Xbox One. Use your 10% discount on Madden NFL 15. What? NFL 15? What the fuck? You can get a really old game? Madden Ultimate Team, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 4 Premium, FIFA 15, FIFA Ultimate Team, EA Sports UFC, by the way, that's in all caps. Need for Speed Rivals, blah, 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 and more titles coming, and you're going to be able to play games earlier. It's basically preloading. So, yeah, it's basically you pay, and EA decides which games that you'll have access to. If you pay $60 a year or something, like $5 a month.
But even if you have access to it, you still have to buy the game.
No.
Okay.
You can basically you basically have access to all these games, right? So, say I have EA Access and I want to play Madden, so I just go into my EA Access a thing on Xbox One, probably by yelling at my Xbox until it complies, and then I would select, which game I want to play from that, and it pretty much starts streaming. I have to imagine it would start streaming because most of these games are 60 gigabit downloads on a system with a 500 gigabit hard drive. So then you just play the game and whatever, that's fine. And then if you decide you want to own the game, you can buy it. But it sounds like the additional stuff, like the DLC, is not going to be free. So you'd still have to buy the DLC. So if you want to play all the premium maps and stuff like that for Battlefield 4, you can have Battlefield 4 in your stream for the EA Access thing, but you still have to buy, either your individual packages or your premium pack. So they're still going to make you pay. They're not going to give you everything for this thing. But that's... people have been saying this is kind of coming. Like, how about you pay a $60 a year subscription and you'll update Call of Duty for me or something like that, or give me X amount of money and you'll have new Guitar Hero songs every year. Like, people have been saying that sort of thing's coming for a long time, and I guess EA is one of the few game companies that not only releases enough games a year, but has enough games in their backlog where they can get away with this sort of thing. Of course, it's only for the Xbox One, which means that there's not many games available for it right now. Because it's a new console that can't backwards compatibly play all their other games.
Right.
So, I don't really like this idea. One, it's only for the Xbox One because no one would agree to it on the PlayStation side of things. But two, it's, this is the same problem you get with other services that are like this. The same thing with EA servers, right? EA will occasionally look at the games that are not getting any network traffic and say, okay, we're going to cut the servers for these 3 Madden games, these 2 FIFA games, and this game for this console or something like that. So not only are you at the whim of EA when they decide to cut services, you're at the whim of EA when they decide to take stuff out of the quote-unquote vault, like it's goddamn Disney taking Bambi 2 out of the vault every 10 years. So you're more or less gambling that EA is going to keep Battlefield 4 in there after Battlefield Hardline launches, which, by the way, will now be in 2015. Went from October 2014 to early 2015, according to EA, to give it more time to assess what fans want. So maybe they've listened, but the reaction to this has been overwhelmingly negative, from what I understand.
Shocker.
Yeah, because no one wants to be at the behest or the whims of a company like EA that has shown very little care for its customers in the past. And let's face it, there's not a lot of games out there right now on Xbox One or PlayStation 4 that make me go, oh yeah, I better get that EA Access thing so I can play all the great games like Peggle fucking 2 on my Xbox One. What's the point? Why would I? But it looks like you're also, even games that aren't on the service, so, hey, this, Plants vs. Zombies 2 came out, or Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare came out. I want to get that game 10% less of $60, that's not too bad. That's a nice little coupon, but you could just wait 6 months and get it for nearly free at a used game store. But, that's the thing. Game companies have been trying to figure out how to eliminate that used game market in different ways in the last few years. The Xbox One was taking steps towards eliminating that market and also their market share, which is already dismally low, by, basically restricting how many people can ever play a copy of a game. But now it's, this is the thing, people, when they look at the PC versus console arguments, it's like, well, with the PC you can't resell your games. You can't rent games either. You have to buy them. Yeah, you do, but most of the games that I want to play on this thing, I have self-control enough and I have a backlog that's so big that I don't have to buy the game immediately on launch. I can wait 6 months and be totally fine. You know?
I don't think I've rented a game since high school.
That's the other thing. Where the fuck do you rent a game from? A Redbox? I guess you can use your GameFly subscription if you still have one of those in the year of 2014. But, you know, where are you renting games? Where are you selling your games back? I have a library of Xbox 360 games I'm never going to play again. And a couple Xbox games that were backwards compatible. But I'm never going to touch these things again. Why do I still have them? I could sell them for GameStop credit. What good's that going to fucking do me? It's GameStop credit. How many PC games do I buy from GameStop a year? Fucking zero. Actually, no, they have a digital store that's kind of okay. But, you know, the point stands, like, yeah, by the way, if you like Deep Silver games and Nordic Game Studios games, sign up for the GameStop newsletter, because you'll see every week they're on sale for like 20%. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. It's just the same two companies. Actually, jumping into another topic of conversation, Deep Silver has bought the rights to the Homefront series from Crytek.
Really?
Because Crytek just shut down its its London studio.
I thought the next Homefront was already under production.
It was. It's been under production for a couple of years over at Crytek. When THQ was still a company, they contracted Crytek to make the next Homefront game called Homefront 2 Revolution. And what happened was, when THQ fell apart, Crytek said, we're already making this game, and they bought the license, and they were going to make a bunch of games in the Homefront series. I think they were even planning on like a RTS or something stupid. And over the last year or so, there have been kind of cracks in the Crytek facade. If you look at Crytek, this is a studio that has released a total of 5 games. Right? Think about it. It's Far Cry, and then the Crysis trilogy. If you count then Rise, and then they did another game that I'm blanking on completely. A Warface. It's a free-to-play game.
Huh.
Because that's how things work. It's a free-to-play first-person shooter that has taken Ukraine and Russia by storm. Yeah, that's no joke. It's very popular in Eastern Europe. But then again, the Crytek Studios are based in Warsaw, Poland, I thought. So maybe they're just tapping into the market. But the guy who does the Mav trolling videos, where he hits people in Battlefield 3 with Mavs until they freak out. He did one of him playing that Warface game. Now that it's free to play and it's on Steam, if you complete a tutorial, you get a SPAS 12. And if you happen to know that you can slide when you're sprinting, you reduce your hitbox to nothing, and you can still fire. So he just slides everywhere, shotgunning people in the face, and getting a lot of rage because his name on Warface is Pay to Win. So people complain that he's paying money to get the best weapons in the game and shit. It's great.
That's awesome.
Go watch it. But yeah, it looks like Crytek isn't completely shut down, but I think they're either reducing staff completely or to nothing in London, or down to a skeleton crew. And they had an Austin studio as well that I think they're shutting down. But they basically said that the fact that Microsoft didn't sell enough consoles and Rise didn't sell enough with it kind of hurt their bottom line a lot, because they spent 4 years making this game for the Kinect, and then it's oh, this isn't working with the Kinect, and so they went and made a controller game. And
it's also a shitty fucking Roman era version of the Arkham series of Batman games.
Oh, is it? I always thought it was more like a Dynasty Warriors game.
Wait, isn't it Rise, Son of Rome or whatever?
Yeah, did you play it?
Yeah, wasn't that? I've seen a bunch of footage. Isn't that the one where it's just you're a gladiator?
Yeah.
And yeah, it just seemed like it was just Batman combat to me.
Oh, okay. When you say Arkham, the Arkham series, I think more of sneaking around and shit.
Oh, no. Just the kind of quasi quick time event style of combat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
there might have been more to the game, but I never saw anyone get to it.
At the end of the day, it's not a bad thing to ape the Arkham City combat because it was pretty fucking good.
Oh no, I agree, but in terms of that being a launch title,
Yeah.
Pretty weak launch title.
Yeah, it got made fun of pretty hard, just like at launch.
It's getting made fun of now.
Yeah, well, especially because it's relevant again. But this is the problem. They're trying to, spread themselves a little bit beyond what they were doing. If I was a studio that released 3 fucking games that anyone had heard of in my life, 4 games, I guess, if you consider the first Far Cry, they don't own the Far Cry license anymore. That's completely owned by Ubisoft. So it's not like they're even relevant beyond the Crysis games. And have you honestly met anyone who's played Crysis?
Nope.
Yeah, neither have I. I own 2 games in the Crysis series. I have never played a single minute of it. This is what I get for Steam sales. I keep wanting to go and play it because I've heard good things about the first half of the first game and the entirety of the second game. But yeah, why would I? What sets it apart? The fact that I can jump really high and go invisible occasionally. I can do that with hacks and Quake. I don't know what you want. But so I can understand why they're having issues because they're stretching themselves too thin. They're releasing very few games, and the game that they did release in the last year was really weak. Not only in terms of sales, but just in terms of reputation.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't run a game studio, which is probably good for everybody. I can't tell them what not to do, but that seems like a lot of what not to do. Okay, guys, we're going to make this game. It's going to come out for the Xbox One only. It's going to be basically Batman, and no one's going to buy this console because it sucks. Okay, sounds like a winner.
Quick, we got to make a game that'll hold people over until Titanfall comes out.
Yeah, more or less. And Titanfall has basically dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. I played
it launch week. There's nothing to really recommend it, to be honest. It's...
Did any expansions come out for it yet?
It's had 2.
Wow.
And people are just not watching people play it on Twitch, which is a metric of how many people are really interested in the game. There's always a million people watching someone play Minecraft on Twitch or League of Legends or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's 2 people or 8 people watching someone play on Titanfall on Twitch at any given time.
And 100,000 people watching Syndicate play Call of Duty still.
Something like that. It's just... How in the world did they... Whatever. It's... their gimmick, the Titan stuff, is really, really fucking weak. The Titan is terrible. Because it's absolutely fucking game-breaking. If you're a pilot, the weapons they give pilots to take down Titans suck. There's just not, you have to work with, 4 or 5 people, which is basically your entire team to take down a Titan. And getting in a Titan doesn't really help you in a lot of cases, because, for whatever reason, Titans have, 2 or 3 good weapons that can basically destroy other Titans. And so if you run into somebody running one of those things, you get destroyed. And the basic Titan isn't that great, doesn't have any real, good attributes. So if you want to get the other Titans, you have to beat the story mode twice. And that requires people to be online, which no one's playing the story mode 6 months after release. So the game is this comedy of errors, where it's there was when I played the beta and I played the first week of the game, I was this is actually really cool. I could see myself playing this a lot. And then one day I had the option of playing that or Battlefield 4 when it was still broken as shit, and I clicked on Battlefield 4.
I mean, shit, dude, I'm still playing Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's about staying power.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like there are many studios still out there capable of putting games out with staying power anymore.
Well, a lot of studios aren't interested in that. They're interested in day one sales. They're interested in DLC sales, which they usually pre-sell you before any DLC's out. I mean, that's the basics of everything. You can buy Battlefield Hardline and the DLC pack right now if you really wanted to. If you felt compelled to do it, you could pre-order it and give EA your money, months and months before the game's released. But you haven't played a minute of any map besides the one in the beta. And you don't know what they're going to do after the beta came through, so you don't even know what game you're getting. But you're still going to buy it in advance. Like, pre-ordering on the PC has one advantage, that is preloading. So the day of release, you can just turn on your PC and it's like, hey, I can now play this game. That is the only good reason in this day and age to pre-order a game.
Right.
Even like Call of Duty or any of the other big releases, they're gonna have copies on the store shelf the day of release, no matter what. Like, they're not gonna run out of Call of Duty games. So, why worry about it?
And oddly, I mean, it may just be from kind of being out of touch with, the Call of Duty community. Not that I was ever really in touch with it anyway, but it seems like no one really cares about it anymore, to where in years past, there's still kind of some buzz going around about, the current version and the one getting ready to come out. Like, it really seems like nobody gives a shit about whichever one's coming out this fall. I don't even know the name of it.
Advanced Warfare with Kevin Spacey. No.
All right.
No. There is a literal digitized Kevin Spacey in this game.
Jesus.
He's running a PMC company. Or a private mercenary company, I guess. But
again, compared to years past, it seems like no one cares.
Yeah, I think it's died down. Like, the general buzz around Call of Duty has sort of died down a lot from what it used to be. And I mean, I think that's the same with a lot of AAA titles. Like, Battlefield 4 didn't sell as far as they thought it would. It's not as big in the competitive community, which is fine by me because it's a fucking Battlefield game.
Right.
It's not supposed to be 5-on-5 bullshit in goddamn Battlefield. But, it's like, why are we so obsessed with making sure that Call of Duty is well known or recognized? Why are people talking about Battlefield versus Call of Duty when neither of them seem super relevant anymore? It's just, there's a hype machine, and you can decide to ignore that hype machine if you completely want to. And I think that's kind of what you have going on. But I have seen people talking about the next game, and people are pointing out that they fucking hate Call of Duty Ghosts. Like, it's not a good game. It's not good.
None of them have been good games.
Yeah, I think that's another point.
Like, what exactly don't you like about it that you did like about previous versions? Like, I never understand when people are like, oh, the Black Ops 2 is so much better than this. I was like, why? It's the same game.
Yeah, I think there's some things that do change, or like I mean, yes, you're getting the bones of every game have been completely the same, but the way the companies put on the muscle and the skin kind of makes it into a different creature. So, like, okay, you have kill streaks, you have rounds, you have these game modes that work the same way almost every single time. Guns are always balanced in the same way, all this other crap. Like, the same reason whenever someone's like, if they don't give me the, whatever the AK was, the AEK in Battlefield 3, it's like, if they don't give me the AEK in Battlefield 4, I'm gonna fucking not play this game, because I love the AEK. Dude, it's a fucking game, it's digitized goddamn numbers. Like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, people don't understand that, so they, like, oh, if it doesn't have a scar, it's not really Battlefield, or something like that. Whatever it is. But anyways, look at how Treyarch handled domination in Black Ops 2 versus how domination's always been handled. So domination is that, capture these 3 points and hold them for points for your team. So Treyarch decided that domination needed a halftime. So when half of the total points had been awarded or a time limit had been met, the game would call a halftime and you'd switch sides and start over. And wherever you were in your kill streak or whatever it was would continue on in that half. And you could basically get care packages and throw them down and have your kills count towards your kill streak from those care packages. Because they didn't think about people exploiting that. But they changed it so there was a halftime, so people couldn't get spawn locked the entire time, would have a chance to break out of the spawn lock in the second half, or whatever it was. But generally, by the time you started the second half, the team that was, if the other team had a commanding lead, you were done. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, every game in the series has done something a little bit different and something a little new, or changed how this works, or added this weapon. Like Ghosts basically has no air support kill streaks. Everything's on the ground, which is kind of brand new to that franchise, save for like airstrikes and mortar attacks in Call of Duty 4 and World at War, where it's like everything that kills you is now on the ground. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You can't. There's nothing to shoot down. You can just like stab something on the ground or something like that. So it's. They were trying to bring it back to basics on one level, but on the other, it's like you still have the shit that can see through walls. So what's the, why are we bothering with this? So I'm not like, well, I didn't play the game. That should probably be stated. I never touched Call of Duty Ghosts. I've just not heard very good things, and like the Call of Duty Ghost thread on Something Awful is full of people saying, "Hey, you guys want to play Black Ops 2 tonight?" Which says something about the game, I think. But that's kind of the fate of all video game franchises, especially when they're running through the ground as hard as these.
Right.
Like right now, every studio is clamoring for a yearly release franchise of some nature that they can make money off of. EA has their sports games, and so every year you're going to get a Madden, you're going to get a FIFA, you're going to get sometimes you get an NBA game out of EA too, but you still get NHL and stuff like that.
Right.
So you're all set there. That's good stuff. It's easy for EA to pump those things out year after year. And it's like, okay, guys, we have the hit stick now. So your right stick is now the hit stick. And like, okay, that's one minor innovation and some slightly improved graphics. Fantastic. Actually, I was told there's a team of people who mod NFL 2014, NFL 1994, and so they update with rosters and shit, so you can play NHL 94 to this day on like a Super Nintendo emulator, because this team of guys is dedicated to that game.
Wow.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool, I thought.
Well, you gotta do something with your spare time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the every studio needs to have or wants those games that they can release year after year, be a cash cow, that sort of thing. It's just that how they go about it always seems like it's detrimental to the consumer rather than like at their convenience.
Right. I mean, look at the Tony Hawk franchise. Like
what you should do is just take any franchise Activision sold in the last 10 years and say, look at this franchise.
Yeah. I can't argue that.
Like, they're the poster child for this, and they struck gold 3 different times. So no one's going to contest that they know what they're doing. So they had Tony Hawk, they had Guitar Hero,
right.
Now they have Call of Duty, and they have Skylanders. And I think in a previous podcast we discussed the fact that at this point a full 7 of the 8 studios Activision wholly owns are working on Skylanders or Call of Duty. Like, so they're on their way. They're going for it.
Soon to be run into the ground, Skylanders.
Yeah, they just have to line up their next bubble and then ride that one too. But that Call of Duty bubble, man, they can't lose that. They can't lose that many eyes and that many sales every year. Like, there's no way for them to do that. It's just, okay, here's this game that sells billions of dollars worth of product every year. And I can brand a bunch of shit like the Call of Duty Jeep that comes out every year. I saw one of those the other way. I saw one. I was on the highway. It was the Call of Duty Black Ops Jeep.
Yeah, I've seen one in real life, and I want to say it was a Modern Warfare 3 Jeep.
Oh, Jesus. Even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lose respect for you if you own a Call of Duty branded Jeep.
I get it if you've got that much disposable income, but there's so many so much more better stuff you can spend that disposable income on than a
Yeah.
Call of Duty themed Jeep. I mean, if you love Call of Duty enough to where you want it on your car, go the donk route. Buy an old '86, Imperial or Impala or something. Put the gigantic dubs on it and do a crazy ass Call of Duty spray paint job on it.
Yeah.
Don't buy a brand new Jeep Wrangler that just has like one insignia on it and a different paint scheme.
Yeah. That's sort of like what I was thinking was like maybe this guy went to the Jeep dealership. I'm sure those exist, and was like, I want a Jeep. I also want the newest Jeep. It's like, well, this brand new Call of Duty branded Jeep Wrangler is... Whoa, it's black? Can I get that on a normal Jeep Wrangler? Yes, but do I get that sweet tire cover? No. Well, I'm going to get this Call of Duty Jeep.
Sold.
Like, can I buy premium? I'll get the first 2 expansions to the Jeep for free. Like, what's going to happen?
Honestly, he probably could have gone on eBay or Craigslist and sold that tire cover to some tremendous fanboy who just so happened to have a Jeep Wrangler,
Yes.
to where he would then have his own Call of Duty Jeep and just probably paid for a good chunk of his own Jeep for it.
Yeah, hey, there you go. That could have been a good solution to a stupid answer. Like,
A good solution to a problem that never should have existed.
yeah. All right, here's my plan for this Jeep. I'm going to make $200 off of buying this Jeep. Here is my dastardly plan. Yeah, I just whatever. It is what it is. Video games are, and I think people, when we talk about video game journalism and stuff like that, which by the way is getting worse and worse.
Was it ever good?
No, that's the thing. Like, when video games were okay, we made $1 million and maybe like 3 kids in school know what you're talking about when you say, I played Final Fantasy this weekend. Like, okay, then you can have shitty video game journalism because most of your readership is like 20, or at the most, right?
Right.
It's like, it's kids and like stoners. Today, the average video game player is 31 years old.
Wow.
And video games have produced 3 or 4 multi-billion-dollar-a-year companies. So, Activision on its own, and then EA and Ubisoft and 2K, they're all making billions of dollars a year off selling video games. You don't get to act like you're still at the kids' table in terms of writing about your industry when you have that much money coming into it. Nintendo puts a loss up every year, but Nintendo has so much cash on hand that they can run a loss for 28 solid years before they run out of money.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, well, I mean, that might mean you have $28 in your wallet or something like that. But I mean, I think there's an actual number of, dollars that they have that would allow them to run like that for a long time. Microsoft's in it, Sony is in it. These huge names in other branding systems and all this stuff are in video games now. You can't afford to just think of yourself as like, okay, we're the funny weird guys who play video games. We're going to take money from these companies to say nice things about their games now because I'm Ben Kuchera and I work for Polygon. God, that guy's a fucking moron. I swear to God, he is the dumbest motherfucker in the world. If he hears this, I hope he fucking kills himself over it.
Whoa now. What?
It doesn't matter.
Give me some reference for this.
He's never going to hear it. So, all right. So Ben Kuchera is, well, let's use the term loosely. Air quotes, a video game journalist who works is the editor-in-chief for Polygon. And Polygon is a video game video game digital magazine, as they like to call it. It's just a fucking website that, releases whatever it is, the press releases. It just re-releases those basically verbatim, and it calls it a day. But they also have these fucking terrible clickbait articles. There's a good example. So they, he just, here we go, a guy from Platinum Games, actually, said that they were clickbait. Bayonetta 2 is a Wii U exclusive due to multiple changes in the business situation to Platinum Games. The one of the guys who works for Platinum didn't like that because he never actually said those words. So, like, you know, they changed the stuff, and it's some crazy shit, but I'm trying to find somebody actually pulled the entirety of, like, Polygon's clickbait articles from the last month out of their website and posted them in the Xbox One is a stupid console thread.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing. It was like 32 articles long, and it's just this month. And you're just putting out, like, should we all be paying attention to Sailor Moon? And, like, shit like that. It's like, dude, Kotaku already has you covered on Sailor Moon coverage. Don't worry. Those fucking weirdos over at Kotaku. Goddamn, that place is a creep fest. It's all fucking anime all the time, and it's always, like, anime starring young girls.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
I mean, that's the only kind of anime, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't really watch anime.
It's that and Akira.
Yeah.
That's it.
You've insulted the greatest of anime, sir. Have at you. Produces sword. Like, yeah, it just... But, so Polygon, like, releases these terrible clickbait articles. Somebody actually accused Polygon of producing terrible clickbait articles. Ben Kuchera, the editor-in-chief, came out and was like, no, they're not clickbait. What are you guys talking about? You guys don't know anything. But he very clearly clickbait articles. But Polygon is... Ben Kuchera is this guy who's been in video game journalism for a while. And when he started Polygon, he made the decision that he was going to try to get funding to do a documentary about why Polygon was going to matter so much. How they were going to change video game journalism by being different and vital and stuff like that, where video game journalism was boring and pedantic and too thought out, I guess. I don't know. And so when he went to get funding, Microsoft offered $750,000 to Polygon to make their documentary about themselves being awesome. And they took it. And somehow, on day one, when they reviewed the Xbox One got 0.5 points out of a scale of 10 higher than the PlayStation 4, despite the fact that the article where they reviewed the Xbox One trashed the thing, the kinetic abilities, like it's the fact it was hitching, there was no games at launch, all this stuff. They still gave it a higher score than the PlayStation 4, which is weird, right? Because you'd think that...
Yeah, that's ringing a bell. I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. So, Kuchera is, like, terrible on this, and, like, they run stuff like, this is too hardcore for us, and blah, blah, blah. It's just... They're a terrible group of morons, basically, and I really hope the Polygon is falling apart from the inside, because they do stupid shit, like I said, changing the text of something people say to them. But they've also done stuff like, I don't know if you remember this one, but when SimCity came out, they gave it a pretty decent score, or the latest one that was broken and people couldn't play. They gave it a pretty decent score. And then, like, after the backlash had come through and, people realized it wasn't a very good game, all that other stuff, they lowered the score of the game and said, well, in light of what people have been saying recently, we decided to change the score of the game because it's not working as it's supposed to work. And it's like, well, shouldn't that have been your fucking review? Like, why did you change it? And then if you looked at, like, the ad buy space at that time, as soon as EA stopped buying ads, they changed the score. And the same thing happened with Battlefield 4. They gave it like a 7.5 when it came out, and then they gave it a 3.5 after the EA money ran out. It's like, you guys, you might want to consider not being so fucking obvious that you're just basically giving scores for money here. And Hey, that's like video game stuff is shady as fuck. Like, yeah, we know this stuff happens. We've known about it since Jeff Gerstmann got fired from GameStop like 10 years ago for that Kane and Lynch review he gave where he did not decide to change the score after the Kane and Lynch publishers said, "Hey, this score is not good enough for all the ad space we're doing. You better do something about it." And they fired a guy because he didn't change his score on a game. Like, what the fuck? That's if you think that's done, no one does that anymore or anything like that. No, it still fucking happens.
Yeah.
People are putting up higher scores because they get money from a advertising firm to advertise a game. Definitely, there's no way that it's not happening at this point. But what can you do about it except for change how that has to work? And there's no like journalist union or something like that for game journalism. There's no one trying to keep them honest in any capacity outside of people who are going to dig into their stuff online. But who fucking cares? There's never going to be a lawsuit against Polygon for being complete assholes who suck at writing and couldn't fucking figure out how words work if they had to. Like, it doesn't work like that. But the reason why I'm fucking hating on Kuchera and Polygon and so much is that a few weeks ago, Ben Kuchera released an article that was like how to fix Battlefield, and he was talking about how he wasn't going to play Hardline because of all these things that it's like, oh yeah, EA said that DICE said that they would never charge for expansion packs. They only had to because EA told them to, and then he took someone's words from years ago, and it's like, but they've always charged for expansions in some way or another.
Right.
Yes, they release free packs all the time, but they've always charged for expansions. It's never been completely free on everything. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? And then there was another one that was like, oh, if they ever make us release 2 games in 2 years, that will be the end of the Battlefield franchise, or something like that. Well, it's a different studio doing this. Like, obviously the guy did not care to make an actual argument. He was just trying to repeat popular internet sentiment. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, why are you making a clickbait article about Battlefield that took you 5 minutes copying Reddit posts? Like, why does this guy feel that he has to have all these ads come through there with no content? And it bugs the hell out of me that, someone
Really? I couldn't tell.
Someone gave him fucking money to make a documentary about how he was going to change video game journalism. And it's like, okay, the way I'm going to change it, clickbait. Come on, click on my articles. I need those quarters of cents. Like, what the hell? So, yeah, that's my weekly rant about Ben Kuchera. Usually I do this to my wife, and she just doesn't understand what the hell I'm saying. Have you been playing anything interesting lately besides Counter-Strike?
Nah, pretty much just Counter-Strike. I really haven't had much time lately.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's still fun. I'm still off and on awful at it.
You're doing better than me. Yeah, I actually, since we played it, I haven't touched it, so...
Yeah.
I want to get back into it. I had fun doing that first round of games. I had fun there. That second round where people were fucking ridiculous was...
Yeah. I think if we went in there with, you meet Arnold, and then I got a few buddies who are really, really good at the game. If, all 5 of us were on a call at the same time, I think we could do really well and have a lot more fun with it.
Yeah.
It's like Battlefield in the sense that you're always going to do better when you have an organized team.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's got to be the standard for almost any shooter, where if you have an organized team of people who are okay at the game, and you have a bunch of random people who are great at the game on the other team, you'll probably still win.
Oh yeah,
at least 6 times out of 10 against a team of great players who don't communicate. It was like, you ever listen to Hardcore History by Dan Carlin?
No.
It's a podcast series. He takes a long time. He does a lot of research per episode, and each episode can run for like 3 hours. But in one of the episodes, he was talking about, the same way you think about all-star games, right? So you have a team that's, a pro ball team, and they go up against a team that's actually organized and plays with each other throughout the year. It's like even if it's a team of all-stars, they're probably still going to struggle to keep up with a team that practices and knows each other. And,
Oh, definitely.
yeah. So it's sort of the same way there, I think. But I wasted a lot of our time talking about Battlefield and Ben Kuchera and EA Access, the dumbest program in the history of the world.
Hey man, it's not like I had anything to talk about.
Netflix for EA video games. By the way, Netflix doesn't take down as many video games as this service will. God, but think about it. To access EA Access, not only do you have to have the $60 a year access package, you still have to have Xbox Live.
Wow.
So that's another $60 a year.
Jeez.
Actually, I got into a conversation with somebody the other day who was like, well, I don't mind paying for PS4 online because it's only $50 a year, and that's not a lot, and you get free games. It's like, but still, you're buying $60 games that almost all have multiplayer, and they're locking part of the content behind you paying another $50 a year. Like, doesn't that seem kind of weird to you? I guess, when you play on a console for a while, you don't really realize that. It's just, totally normal to you.
Yeah, you pretty much forget about it.
Yeah, it's been normalized for us. But think about it, with the 360, unless you're playing an EA game or a game with dedicated servers like EA games had, you were paying for a peer-to-peer connection.
Yeah,
You're
pretty
paying
much.
to connect to somebody directly. I just, why not? Why is that a thing? Whatever. You're paying Microsoft server upkeep fees so you can play online and get all of your money's worth out of a game. That's crazy. That's insane. Anyways, I think we're pretty much done here after the short episode we did a couple weeks ago, and then last week we all agreed not to do anything, so we're evening out by having a long episode this time.
We were on a work strike.
Yeah. I think it was just I was too tired or something, and Arnold wasn't feeling it, so everyone's like, yeah, fuck it. Oh, no, I remember now. Forget it. I was meeting with friends. I don't have friends, so that was kind of a weird moment. But yeah, so thanks for sticking around, Three Toes. Sorry for taking so much of your time.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide indeed. Goodbye.